Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. What we're going to do today is go through a sequence of practices, and in some of the Eastern wisdom traditions, they talk about, especially for beginners, it's helpful, which we all are for our whole lives. It is helpful to do many short sessions rather than try to kind of grind it out in one long session. So we'll be going through a sequence of practices of centering and settling, and then being mindful of our breath, body, and posture in the moment, then open to awareness of perceptions and environment, and then go further with compassion. And one of the things that is very traditional, there's a saying, good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. And to be good in the beginning, it is to set a proper intention, to have proper motivation for the practice. And one of the things that we're doing is trying to connect with our awareness of ourselves and how we engage in the world and relate with others. So the first intention is to say, my motivation is to be better in working with myself, and especially to do so in order to be better at relating with others. So we put the benefit of others as our main purpose of our practice, our ultimate aim. Then good in the middle is to engage in the discipline of the techniques that we're doing, again, with a light touch, not getting heavy about them and not punishing ourselves if we feel like we're not doing it properly. And so good in the middle means not worrying so much about if we're getting it right, because that worry itself interferes with just being present to our experience. And good at the end is that afterwards we reflect and say, how did I do? Well, I was present for a few moments here and there, and I hope that I can do better next time. And I reaffirm my motivation and intention, and whatever benefit might come from the practice, I want to dedicate that to the benefit of others. So it's a sandwich of compassion and kindness in that way. So that's the basic layout. So let's get started. And it's helpful to work with our posture first and get stable. So wherever you're sitting, kind of get settled in it and let your sit bones sink into your seat, whether you're on a cushion on the floor or on a chair. And you're going to want to turn either turn your device or move your seat a bit so that you're not looking directly into the screen, because much of the practice, although we're going to start with our eyes closed, much of the practice we're doing with our eyes open, because we're taking this out into the world. So to begin with, get settled in your seat. Now, as far as your lower body, your legs, you want your knees to be a bit lower than your hips, because that's easier on your back. You won't be straining on your back. So feet can be flat on the floor, about hip width apart, with your lower legs perpendicular to the ground. But if your legs are long, like mine, you just cross them gently in front of you. Again, your feet kind of now below your knees, and the height of your knees below your hips. You want to feel like your spine is straight, but not rigid. And you can feel if your leaning one side or the other. Just find that center. Same with forward or back. We don't want to be tilted, but rather centered. The interesting thing is you can't describe what that feels like. You can just say, well, move a little left or right and find the place where you're not leaning one side or the other and not leaning forward or back. And that's centered. And one thing that's helpful for your posture, especially your torso, is to find a spot a little below halfway down on your breastbone. There's a notch at the top and at the bottom in your rib cage. And find that spot in your breastbone and feel like it moves up and forward just the tiniest bit. Up and forward just the tiniest bit. Without letting your chin float up in the air. You'll feel that it opens your chest, your shoulders pull back a little bit naturally. And it gives you a feeling of a firm back, open heart. You want your arms to be very natural, so the upper arms hanging straight down from the shoulders, and your hands palm down on each thigh respectively, without reaching forward, which curls your shoulders forward, or artificially pulling back. Your upper arms just hang vertically from your shoulders. As for your head, we don't want our head tilted down. We get sleepy. If our chin floats up, we get spaced out. So it's as if the back of your head, you feel like it's an extension of your spine extending straight up. And if the back of your neck extends a little bit and the back of your head is straight up, your chin comes in naturally. And that lets the air flow in your nostrils and down your windpipe with the least interference. We want to be breathing in through our nose. If a little air comes out from our mouth as well as our nose, that's okay. So as far as your lips go, they can be very, very lightly touching or very, very slightly parted. And for your tongue, it can just rest naturally, or if it's comfortable, let it float up and rest just lightly touching the upper palate just behind your front teeth. Right now our eyes are gently closed. And tune into how your body feels. You can move a little bit, wiggle your toes, flex your legs, move your hips a little in your torso, and get really settled in that position. Upright but not rigid. Feel your heart center moved up and forward just a tiny bit. Fully in our body. We talk about that quite a bit, getting out of our heads and into our body. So fully inhabit your body with your mind. Feel your body breathing itself. You can be an observer rather than a director. And there's a rhythm to our breathing. Which sometimes changes and gets deeper or shallower. It's like the surf after the wave is broken and the water runs up the shore. and then back down into the ocean. It goes pretty regularly. Sometimes there's a big push up and back, sometimes a littler one. Just let your body breathe itself. And scan from the top of your head all the way down. Notice if there's any unnecessary tension. We need a bit of tension to hold our posture. But once we have that, we want the rest of our body just kind of, it's as if our spine is a tent pole and the rest of our body is the canvas hanging from it before it's pulled out into a tent. Check your face muscles, cheekbones, ears, jaw. We have tension in our jaw that we don't realize sometimes. Let it unclench without your mouth hanging open. Neck and shoulders. Sometimes we think we're relaxed, and if somebody were to push your shoulders down, you'd be quite surprised. And if you feel that tension in your shoulders is stubborn, just raise them up a bit, hold for 2 or 3 seconds, and then don't push down, just let them fall naturally. Chest and upper back, a little tension to hold your breastbone up. Let the rest relax around that. Let your rib cage relax around that. Shoulders and upper arms, lower back, stomach, and deep belly. Sometimes there's clenching in our deep belly and our pelvic region, and we don't realize it. Without losing your posture, just let that tension go. Let it soften. Let it melt. Hips and buttocks, thighs, forearms, and hands. Let all the tension melt out of you. Knees, calves, ankles, and feet. You can return your awareness to the deep core of your torso. Not so much being up in your head thinking about your torso, but just really feel how it expands and contracts as your body breathes in and out. Let your mind rest there. It's quiet down there. Gentle movements like gentle currents at the bottom of a clear pond. Expanding as you fill with air, contracting as your body empties the air. As the gong fades, let your eyes gently open about halfway so that you become aware of the space your body is sitting in, just close around you. Aware of the gentle movements of your body as it breathes in and out. And let the focus of your mindfulness be attention to the internal sensations, what it feels like deep in your core, filling and expanding, emptying and contracting. Aware of your posture, the space you're sitting in, and the internal sensation of filling, expanding, emptying, contracting. Now, the mind does tend to wander. So if you wander off into a thought and followed by another thought and another, when you realize you're no longer aware of your body and breathing, at the moment you're aware of it, you're already back. Just smile, make a little mental note, thinking or thought, which means I was lost in thought and now I'm back. Reconnect with your posture, the space you're sitting in, and your breathing. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. You might hear sounds, feel bodily sensations, have a thought float by. These all happen as a background. The main focus for your attention is your body the feeling of filling and expanding, emptying, contracting your posture. We're not trying to block anything out. All those other perceptions are just background, including thoughts coming and going. It's only if thoughts capture your mind into a daydream where you're off into the past or the future or elsewhere that we lose track of our present moment. But they don't last forever. When there's that gap and you realize, oh, that's the moment when you are back already. Just reconnect with your body awareness, filling and emptying. If you got sleepy, just reinvigorate your posture, open your eyes fully, look out a little further, and feel the filling and emptying more in your upper torso. The breath coming in your nostrils and going down the back of your throat. As the gong fades, refresh your posture if you need to. Move a little bit. And then reconnect with that uprightness, upright but not rigid, firm back. Raise your breastbone a little, open front. Let your eyes be open fully. Wherever they rest naturally, it won't be looking down, it won't be looking up, somewhere in between. And soften your gaze. You're looking in a particular direction, but not at anything particular. Soften your gaze so you're open to the bigger space that you're sitting in. aware of your body in that bigger space and your perceptions, colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark. But particularly that there's space out in front of you. As your breath goes out, the breath mixes with the air in the room in front of you and dissolves into that atmosphere, becomes one with it. In the same way, as each breath goes out, let your mind open up and your awareness mix with the space in front and around you. And just rest in that spaciousness as the body breathes in by itself. Out, let go, and relax. The body breathes in by itself. As the breath goes out, let your mind go out, open, let go, and relax. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Again, if your mind wanders, just smile. Say, that was thinking. Back to the body, space, and breath. Out, let go, relax. Visual perceptions, sounds, bodily sensations, thoughts coming up and dissolving, all are part of that big atmosphere, that spaciousness. They're all happening within a bigger awareness. Breathe out, let go, relax, that big mind awareness. and reconnect with your posture. And raise your gaze to look slightly above horizon. Even if you're indoors, imagine that you're looking out to the sky. Breathe out and imagine that your awareness extends out to the sky in all directions, above and all around. If you'd like, you can imagine that you're looking at the night sky. Your awareness extends out in all directions. An infinite openness. Just rest in that vast spaciousness for a moment. And realize that within that spaciousness, there are billions and billions of living beings. And as living beings, we all share the wish for security, peace, health, and happiness. It seems that some beings want war, but in our hearts, we all want that feeling of our own security and contentment. And the war comes because of fear of losing that and being stuck with suffering and unhappiness. We all have that in common. The wish to be free from suffering, the wish to feel contentment. So tune into whatever makes you feel contented, safe, secure, healthy. And imagine as you breathe out that you're sending that to others. Send out the wish for them all to experience that contentment. One person may come to mind or a group of people. It's okay to focus on them. Send what you know would make them happy. We have an infinite capacity from our heart of kindness to send out that wish for happiness. There's no limit. And now think of your own suffering, pain, anguish, whatever makes you feel sad and bad. And imagine that you could free others from that. You could take that from them. So as you breathe in, imagine that you're taking away all the suffering and causes of suffering of others. And breathing out, contentment and the causes of contentment and happiness. Again, if you think of one or a few particular people or animals, that can be your focus. Take away what they're suffering with and the causes of their suffering. Your infinite heart of compassion can accommodate all of that. hold it in your heart of compassion, transform it, and send out contentment and the causes of contentment to all of them. Take away suffering, send out happiness. If it helps you, you can put your palm on your chest at your heart center and feel that heart of compassion expand and take in all the suffering. Breathe out, send out all happiness. And as best you can, extend that to all beings everywhere. Imagining that you can free the world from all the strife, suffering, and pain. And all beings could share, at least for a moment, in peace and contentment. And as the gong fades, lower your gaze again. Let go of your imagination. Move your awareness into your core and feel the filling and expanding, the emptying and contracting. Thank you for your practice. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we start with the motivation of being of benefit to others. We practice and be as present as we can. And then at the end, good at the end is we dedicate whatever benefit came from the practice to others. So you can repeat after me or put it in your own words. May the practice we have just done be of benefit to others, even more so than to ourselves. And thank you. That concludes our session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice.